Life, at its heart, is a vast experiment in observation. Each day, we move through a world teeming with individuals. Some kind, some indifferent, some deeply flawed. Inevitably, we come across those who embody traits that strike us as offensive, frustrating, or absurd. Their behavior may range from petty meanness to sheer stupidity, and our instinctive response is often irritation, anger, or dismay. Yet there is a wiser path, one hinted at in the notion that such encounters should not be sources of distress but rather objects of study, much like rare minerals examined by a geologist. This perspective transforms what could become a corrosive emotional burden into an opportunity for learning, reflection, and growth. To treat human folly and cruelty as specimens is not to deny their reality or the harm they may cause, but to approach them with a spirit of detachment and inquiry. Imagine a mineralogist stumbling upon a jagged, unsightly rock. Rather than recoil in disgust, he kneels, observes, and categorizes. He knows that even the ugliest stone has its place in the grand architecture of the earth. Likewise, when we witness a particularly sharp display of malice or ignorance, we are offered a chance to deepen our understanding of humanity. Instead of succumbing to anger, we can adopt the scientist's patience, noting the behavior, its causes, and its implications. Such a shift in perspective is more than a mental trick. It is a form of wisdom. Human beings are complex creatures, capable of astonishing brilliance and equally astonishing foolishness. The same mind that composes symphonies or solves equations may fall prey to prejudice, envy, or blind arrogance. To despair at this duality is to miss the essence of our condition. By regarding every encounter, pleasant or unpleasant, as data in our study of character, we rise above mere reaction. We become, in a sense, philosophers in the laboratory of life. Consider the case of meanness. Few things are as corrosive to the spirit as deliberate cruelty. It may take the form of a cutting remark, a betrayal, or a calculated attempt to humiliate. Our immediate impulse may be to retaliate or to retreat in bitterness. But what if we paused, even for a moment, and regarded the incident as a specimen? What if, instead of dwelling on the personal sting, we asked, what does this reveal about human insecurity, about the hunger for power, or about the way fear disguises itself as aggression? Suddenly, the cruelty is no longer just a wound. It becomes evidence, teaching us something about the darker corners of the human psyche. The same approach applies to stupidity. Few things try our patience more than witnessing someone behave irrationally, stubbornly refusing to recognize the obvious. Yet stupidity is rarely pure. It often hides layers of misunderstanding, social conditioning, or lack of education. When we treat it as an object of study rather than a source of exasperation, we learn to see patterns. How misinformation spreads, how ego blinds people to reason, how cultures reinforce certain illusions. We become, in essence, cartographers of the mind's blind spots. This attitude does not mean that we excuse or enable harmful behavior. A mineralogist does not mistake a lump of coal for a diamond, nor does he deny that some substances are toxic. Similarly, to study human folly is not to accept it uncritically but to recognize its place in the spectrum of experience. It allows us to respond with clarity rather than rage. We may choose to confront, to correct, or to distance ourselves, but we do so with the composure of someone who has seen the phenomenon before and knows it for what it is. Adopting this perspective also protects our inner life. Anger, resentment, and contempt may feel justified in the moment, but they corrode the soul when indulged too often. To live perpetually irritated at the world's foolishness is to surrender our peace to forces beyond our control. But when we approach these same forces with curiosity, even fascination, we reclaim our agency. The insult becomes a clue, the blunder a case study, the cruelty a text to be analyzed. Life ceases to be a battlefield of constant irritation and becomes instead a classroom filled with unpredictable, if sometimes exasperating, lessons. There is also a humbling effect in this approach. To view others' flaws as specimens reminds us of our own. Each of us, if we are honest, carries within us streaks of meanness and pockets of ignorance. We may be blind to them until life, like a mirror, shows us how we look through the eyes of another. By studying human folly in others, we prepare ourselves to recognize it within. In this way, the mineralogist's eye cultivates compassion, not the naive compassion that excuses everything, but the steady compassion that sees clearly and forgives wisely. Moreover, this shift in perspective encourages resilience. Imagine how differently our days would unfold if every act of rudeness we encountered were met not with agitation but with curiosity. A rude driver on the road becomes a specimen in the study of impatience. A dishonest colleague becomes an example in the taxonomy of self-interest. Each annoyance is transformed from a personal affront into an opportunity to practice observation, patience, and self-mastery. Instead of being dragged down by negativity, we rise above it, not in indifference but in understanding. Philosophers from many traditions echo this idea. The Stoics urged their followers to expect folly, meanness, and injustice as inevitable parts of life, not as shocking exceptions. By anticipating them, one could remain unshaken when they appeared. Eastern traditions, too, teach detachment, the art of observing without clinging or recoiling. In both cases, the point is not to deny reality but to engage with it in a way that preserves inner freedom. To be a mineralogist of human character is to walk in this path, steady and curious in the face of life's rougher stones. And what is the reward of this perspective? It is not merely peace of mind, though that is significant. It is also the growth of wisdom. The more specimens we collect, the more varieties of meanness and stupidity we observe, the more nuanced our understanding of humanity becomes. We learn to recognize patterns, to anticipate outcomes, to discern motives. We become better judges of character, more skillful navigators of social life. In time, even the most unpleasant encounter leaves us richer in knowledge and firmer in spirit. In the end, life is a vast cabinet of specimens. Some shine with brilliance, others are dull or jagged, but all have something to teach us. To respond to human folly with anger is natural but unprofitable. To respond with curiosity is transformative. When we take the mineralogist's approach, every encounter, pleasant or bitter, becomes part of the great study of what it means to be human. In this study, no experience is wasted, no specimen too trivial. And perhaps that is the highest wisdom, to see in every fragment of human behavior, however mean or foolish, a chance to enlarge our vision of life.